Welcome to Losers at Large. You've tasted your own semen once. Admit it.
2, 3, hit it!
Alright, so this week's topic, it's more of a question. I'm wondering what you guys think makes a great band a great band. So, it's not about, objectively being awesome at the guitar or, being the best singer. It's just, what makes the band a great band? What's that X factor?
First of all, what are we qualifying as a band? Is Backstreet Boys a band?
Yeah, sure, yeah. It just, yeah.
Is
What makes
TLC a band?
Yeah. Not great bands. We're just throwing names out here. Unless you think they're a great band.
They're great bands.
Okay.
That's a band.
They're for sure
They're
bands.
both bands.
Just clarifying.
It doesn't matter, their process is different.
What about like
because
a
they have so many
band of
writings
like vagrant thieves in the forest? Does that be a great
that
band?
if they have a bard with them and they play fiddles, that might be considered a band.
So you're talking
In
just
this
about
sense.
a group that produces music and makes money.
Sure.
Whatever. Okay.
What makes a great band? And examples are welcomed, obviously.
So that takes up Vigil's Keep, our band from 9th grade that had a drummer with no rhythm.
But we did once perform in a classroom with all the lights off. Maybe we'll post that video if we ever dredge it up from the...
Like a stone. Hey, Mrs. Hendrickson, thanks for coming.
Or performing Korn in your science classroom.
We definitely didn't have the X factor.
We didn't. Mainly because our drummer didn't have any sense of rhythm.
Great band, in my opinion, has to be like rock stars, I think.
Like, what do you mean?
Just like getting on stage and just like I'm gonna draw the line between like saying someone's a great band and saying someone's like a group of like prodigy musicians playing together. Like, what's that project with like Yo-Yo Ma and like Chris Steele?
It's like, yeah, that's like a collaboration. That's not a band.
Is it just a bunch of freak artists?
Yeah,
they're like amazing.
It's I'm not going to deny that
I'm
I'm not going to say that like System of a Down is like better than that, like technically speaking.
But we're not talking about technically.
Right. So all I'm saying is like just being like a rock star, like lifestyle, like, and preferably I would like to say that involves like the drinking and the drugs and the sex and stuff. That's just like, oh my, like think of how badass that is. Like I was always thinking about Kings of Leon when they were exploding. I'm like, dude, these dudes are probably just fucking.
I think it's just making like a really great album. And what's a good example of a band that's like might not be the most most talented band in the world, but makes a great album.
Man, I'm not on
write your
Brothers albums
suggestions
anymore.
I know.
Are you talking about like MGMT or something? Like,
yeah, sure.
Where it's like,
where you can listen to it through, but
like
you're not
Phoenix or like something where it's like, this is great.
Yeah, okay. No, I think Phoenix would be a great example. They make awesome songs. But are they the most talented musicians in the world?
No.
Of course not. I mean, they make pop music, which takes a lot of talent to make. They're very, very talented people, but they're not gonna,
Oh yeah, not belittling their talent.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, they're not like. They're not like a Jimi Hendrix or like.
Do we just take talent out of the equation completely? Because if you put talent in the equation, then you can just be like, oh yeah, well, why isn't like Mannheim Steamroller or like
Mannheim Steamroller great?
It's like, well, they're the best band because of how many talented.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this whole situation.
Right. Well, people are just biased generally towards what they listen to.
Yeah.
So, of course. Which we should all be. Otherwise,
absolutely.
we'd have no taste and we'd be a bunch of robots. Like Prometheus. Check that out.
Prometheus is a robot?
No,
Check it out.
No.
They're sponsoring our
Prometheus.
channel.
They're not sponsoring our channel. You might see an ad pop up for them, given how the internet works these days. But
all right. Well, I'm gonna go a different
song.
route of what you guys are talking about. I think the one niche for me when it comes to a band is there has to be just a ton of melody. Like if there's not a real strong sense of melody, or if there's not if I can't whistle to it, if I can't hum to it, if I can't really feel it, then to me, I'm not engaged at all. And to me, that's the most important thing.
Kind of takes away from the ability for it to become like a classic. It's like,
Right.
do you remember that band back then? They had that song.
Right.
It's like,
Well, and then I'll go as far as to say is that I do listen to a lot of like shitty poppy music because I think pop sounds good. I think it's very catchy.
Because it's all about the melody.
So call me
It's all about
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, it is I think that to me is the most important thing about it.
I think you bring a great point, and I think it's even more pertinent given like the music scene these days. I mean, a lot of music, people just like it because of the aesthetic or that like certain esoteric qualities. Like, oh, well, this is a really gritty sound. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, that there's dignity in that, and and that's, you know, admirable, but there's no melody. I mean, a lot of especially very indie music these days, there's no melody, and the singers are horrible. They're abysmal.
The worse they are, the better the band
worse they
is.
are, the better the band is. And I mean, good for them. If you can succeed as a musician in any right, go for it. But really, no, not for me. Not for me. I don't think you're a great musician.
The Lollapalooza lineup is like, it's like the year of
come on.
bands like kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I actually thought it looked pretty good, but
I was
that's
so let down. I was like, what?
Really?
The fourth biggest headliner is like the Black Keys.
they were second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm like, what?
I can't get on board with the Black Keys.
I'm like, that's your next one.
You
if
know,
you'd rather
I've
Chili
heard
Peppers?
him a couple times. I've just never been.
It's not. I have nothing against them or anything. It's just like
You can't believe they're that
I'm
big.
expecting to go there because like I always check it just to like see how many crazy people there are. I'm like, what? But then I'm like, I went there expecting it to be like, you know, like Kanye West, like just like huge bands that like everybody loves kind of thing. And I was like, the Black Keys,
like the icons of the music industry.
I don't know. Making cutbacks.
Dude, the Black Keys have sold out.
Dude,
They've been co-opted.
The Black Keys like syndicate more of their music out to like
Commercials
and stuff than
Yeah.
any band I've ever seen.
Hey, did you guys see that Tupac hologram?
That hologram is taken a page straight out of J-pop.
Yeah.
Which, if
man.
you haven't checked it out, check out like
link it.
Perfume. Yeah, we'll link some songs. J-pop has some great melody.
We'll link it right on my
it
dick.
sounds like a bunch of little
Right here.
girls singing, but you know sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet, or imagine a little girl singing to you, which may or may not provide comfort.
That's how Carl gets to sleep at night. He's like going to sleep masturbating with like a little 12-year-old sleep.
It's great to
I
watch.
follow.
No, but just way back from the tangent to the point you were saying about melodic, it reminded me of another thing that I think is really important that I think you guys will really agree with. Consistency. Like, I've gotten on board with so many bands, and then the next CD, I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah, no.
like,
for serious.
there's so many bands that, like, System of a Down again, like, just monster after monster, and it's always great. They're always true to, like, what they started. I mean,
Well, they changed.
they changed the
They
flavor a little bit.
changed, but each CD had its own aspect that you just loved. It was its own unique.
Well, they had what they had their niche, and then their albums kind of evolved around it, but they never lost like their center. You know?
Yeah.
So like their albums later on, they were a little bit, you know, they weren't as hardcore. The guitar wasn't as heavy.
I think that's because they were trying to factor in Darren more.
Sure.
True.
But
Yeah, like the guy
but you're absolutely
organizing
right.
them.
Consistency is
So important.
pretty essential. I mean, just cliches it sounds. Another band I think that does that is Chili Peppers. Even though their sound has changed, it's still like
Oh yeah,
It's still,
they're
like,
so
yeah, you
consistent.
can still expect.
Stadium Arcadium
Greatness.
is like probably my favorite album of theirs. But
I don't even consider myself a Chili Peppers fan, but I've listened to those two albums, the Stadium Arcadium,
same.
so many times,
Yeah.
and I am not a Chili Peppers fan, but those are great albums.
I think we can all come to the end kind of conclusion that Nickelback would be probably the greatest. I would
It's
say
probably the greatest band ever.
something that I personally listen to.
probably the greatest thing
More.
to cut your penis off too.
See, I cut my penis hair to it. I'm like,
You get a little boner because like.
and then I cut like a little outline of Chad Kruger's face in my pubes. We're gonna do a quick, just thing explaining of our new decor. We've got
Most of it's Chad, so go ahead.
well,
Most of it's Chad's, excuse me.
this is Carl's though. This is his.
Most of it Chad.
Which one? What's yours, Carl?
What is this, an angry
This is a
sushi
picture
guy?
of Carl's penis tip.
He's like, hey, why'd you wake me up so early? Yeah!
And then those are also.
Is that actually sushi, though? Looks, I think it's sushi.
I don't know. This is actually from Japan, my sister.
It's not actually Carl's.
No. Yeah, it is.
Those two guys are action
No, but
figures.
no, it's not. Yes, it is.
Those two figurines, Chad
That's
gifted
off
to
screen.
me. Oh, shit. We have the sword. This sword.
This is kind of doing a little dichotomy about the American-Japanese swordsman duels.
This looks very...
This is more of a King Arthur, whereas
Yeah, King
this
Arthur.
is more of a King
You
Bonsai.
said King Arthur is American, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. This was once used to kill a dragon.
That was used to kill a Komodo dragon.
That was a Komodo dragon. That's the difference between these two. This is the Komodo dragon.
This is used to kill like a pregnant geisha.
Yeah.
This is getting dark.
We love the Japanese. Beer time! Yeah. Yeah. Loser's choice? Grand Teton Brewing Company, Bitch Creek.
We already drank them all.
It's a simple, dignified brew, I think.
You can tell from the packaging that it's like
It's...
kind of like home. Like
Yeah. You can tell, like, the people that made this are just in it for the beer and none of the glamour.
Right.
Like,
They didn't pay it like
they didn't pay a designer. It's like...
But it doesn't really matter because it's still eye-catching and it still tastes great.
No, it's fantastic.
It tastes really good.
It has a volume of 6%, so if you're looking for a stiffer brew, and the alcohol is really covered up by the
Flavor.
potent hops.
Yeah, I don't typically drink brown ales, but this is really good. It's really good.
It's
Come
like
to
an
think of it,
IPA and a brown ale mixed together.
It is kind of.
It's got that nuttiness, and
It's got that bitch taste.
it's got
I
that
actually
bitch
like.
creek. It tastes like a bitch. Nice.
I'm gonna throw a challenge out here to the audience.
Challenge?
Yep.
Challenge.
Challenge time. All you have to do is write one of our names in the comments, and whoever has their name written most has to do a beer bong.
And we'll film it and post it on our next video.
So in conclusion,
No, wait. So do they even know our names? Have we introduced
yeah,
ourselves?
they're in the intro.
Oh, yeah, they're in our intro. Yeah.
Which we had shipped off. We paid a lot of money. A very professional woman made it for us. She's
She's a great woman. Cheers.
fucking ungrateful pricks.